So you've got some renos going on?
Yeah,
Nice.
working on adding a little space. We got our sixth child on the way, so we need a little bit more space.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I understand, to start things off, on Instagram, I saw that you have an announcement there with O-Town coming up in about a week and a half, right?
Yeah, we're heading out to, or going back to Cali, I should say, with O-Town, in the LA area, Agora Hills and Montclair
Hmm.
in February, in a couple of weeks, next weekend actually, or weekend after next. And I haven't been to California, and I mean, I haven't been there in many years, probably 15 years. But as far as like doing anything related to L.F.O, it's been 20 years, you know.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's hard to imagine. We used to be, we used to be in that area all the time. Um, so it's I haven't had to fly that far in a long time, although I was in Tucson a few months ago, but California is a whole different beast, from the climate to the terrain to the traffic to everything else. So, but I'm looking forward to getting back out there and getting a chance to see some of the fans on the West Coast.
Oh, that's going to be great. Yeah, I kind of imagine what the traffic is like there, but are you based out of Boston now?
No, I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida. Nice. At least the
Yeah,
weather's wonderful, hey?
this is a great time of year for Florida. I was reflecting on it today. It's cooler, which I like.
Mm.
So it's in the 50s or 60s during the day, and gets down in the 50s or 40s at night. Not for too long, but I
Mhm.
just like that little break from the heat.
Oh, for sure. And originally you're from the same area. You are from Boston, correct? Originally?
Well, yeah, Rich and Devin were from Boston. I
Where are you
grew up
from?
in New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey. I was born in New York, grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, wonderful. What city?
It's called Mawa. It's a little town up in northern Jersey.
Oh, awesome. Um, how much of an impact did the New Kids have on you guys at that time?
For sure, the initial iteration of L.F.O, it had a huge impact. The two
Mhm.
guys besides me were from Boston, and New Kids were just like really special in that area, and they influenced a lot of different artists, and it made a lot of kids say, "Wow, I can actually make it in the music business." And so I think for the early years, it was a big deal. Today, I'm still inspired by just how hard they work, and how much love they show for their fans.
Mhm.
Um, I just think they do a really brilliant job of keeping their fans connected, and I'm really excited to see them out there. I would say in some ways they're bigger today than they were in 1984. They're still playing in stadiums, and they're still selling out shows, and
Mm.
I just think it's awesome.
Have you had the opportunity to do any shows yet since COVID? Is this just
Yeah,
getting back out there now?
yeah, we've been this past summer. We had a good number of shows. I've been playing shows with the Pop 2000 tour, which is O-Town, Ryan Cabrera, sometimes Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray, and one of the guys from NSYNC, either Lance or Chris. And so, I've been going out there and doing an L.F.O set with the O-Town guys backing me up, and just getting a chance to tell people about Rich and Devin, and
Mm.
how special they were, and everything I do related to L.F.O is simply to honor Rich, honor Devin, nurture the L.F.O legacy. And so the fans have been really supportive. I'll be honest, I was a little reluctant when the opportunities first came before me, but you think back, and when you love something, you don't want to see it end. And I know Rich and Devin loved L.F.O. They know they loved me, and so I try to examine what are my intentions. And really my intentions are to continue the legacy, and to remind people of how amazing those guys were. And so
Mm.
the fans have just been so supportive of those efforts. It's been one of the most humbling experiences I can ever imagine. It's really emotional. Like it's like every night reliving it, and I hate it. I mean, I absolutely, I never had the desire to stand there alone. And thankfully, I'm not alone. The Old Town guys were with me, and they knew Rich really well, and they respected Devin, and so they kind of feel what I feel. But these days, I mean, every single day, it takes my breath away in some capacity.
Mhm.
And I just hate the fact that they're gone.
It's a real blessing that the three of you had this incredible moment in time together to make such great music and have an impact on your fans. So, what do you think those fans can do to honor the legacy of Rich and Devin in the most positive way?
Just continue listening to their music, maybe introduce the music to their kids or their nieces and nephews or friends,
Mm,
um, and when when our shows hit the town, it's nice for them to come out and support those efforts. But the biggest thing is probably just continuing to listen and to pass it on to another generation, so that maybe there'll be a whole new generation of L.F.O fans.
that'd be beautiful. That's a good idea. Um, when you guys were first getting started out there and on the road, you had the opportunity to open for Britney Spears. Is that correct? Tour with Britney?
Yeah, we sure did.
What was that like?
Well, you're playing arenas, so that's always fun, with 15 to 20,000 people a night.
Mm,
We knew a lot of people in Britney's crew, so it was kind of like family. And
mm,
Britney she was great. I mean, you know, obviously, what you read about her these days or see is a lot different than what it was in 1999. But
mm.
she was just a kind of a normal girl, sweet, really talented. Um, Put on an extraordinary show, worked really, really hard,
Yeah.
and it was great. It was a great time. Some really great memories from touring with her and her peeps.
When you guys were making music videos, your singles were charting. What was your favorite music video to create?
Summer Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Looking back, I'm so thankful that we went with the director we went with, Marcus Rayboy.
Mm,
His concept was pretty simple, but I felt like it was just it's a timeless video. Like it could be today. You know what I mean?
mm,
It's the the from the clothes we were wearing to the locations, and it just really epitomized what that song was about. It was just a perfect. I thought it was a perfect video for that song, and the experience of recording it was a lot of fun. And it's a great memory, really. It's like you said, we were blessed to have had the chance to make some really extraordinary memories together, and I'll always be thankful for that, because when at the end of the day, I think really what it comes down to is relationships and experiences,
yeah.
because the money runs out, and it won't buy you happiness, um, but the things that last forever are these relationships that were forged from L.F.O, whether it's Mike Caputo, who was like our road manager, tour manager, assistant, security, best friend, fourth member, who still travels with me now, or Devin, who turned out to be my best friend, and
Hmm.
people from the record label that we still keep in touch with, or Rich's parents, Rich's brother, like we just have all these relationships that were forged because of L.F.O. And so to me, that's one of the greater legacies of it, and one of the things that the story itself is a tragedy, right? When you dig down to it, and the story that people don't know is tragic as well. So the whole thing is a tragedy. Um, so you get to the point where you say, well, what do you do? Do you bury this tragedy, you know, or do you try to create some good out of a really sad story? And so that's what I decided to do, was try to bring some joy into what is a very sad story. And I've been really fortunate, really blessed. Like I said, the fans have just been so supportive of those kind of efforts, and a lot of people have worked really hard to help make that happen. And I'll continue to honor those boys on the road for as long as people will have me.
And the families of Rich and Devin as well, are they, you're luckily still have those relationships, and how do they feel about everything that's happening now?
Um, I know when Devin and I reunited in 2017 and brought L.F.O back on the road, I know it was tough for Rich's mom. Um, Not because she didn't want us to, but just because she missed Rich so much.
Yeah.
And she actually called me. I on the tour, I drove the bus. I had to drive to Indiana to pick up the bus, and I was driving back to Florida, and the phone rang, and it was her. And she just said, "Hey, Brad." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Doris Cronin." I said, "Hey, Mrs. Cronin." "No, no, call me Doris, okay? Hey, Doris." And she just cried. She said, "I just want you to know I love you. It's really hard for me. I miss Richie so much, but I love you." And that was like, it was like I had spent a lot of time on my knees in prayer for 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 his family to sort of realize that, Devin and I weren't going out there acting like we didn't need him. We were going out there because people wanted, they wanted L.F.O, and we wanted to honor Rich, and we did. Now, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that Devin, who was like the strongest, fittest, most healthy, stress-free dude you ever meet, a month after the tour would be diagnosed with cancer and be dead a year later. And his family, I'm close with his dad, his mom, and his brothers, and we try to do things for the families. Like when Devin was diagnosed in 17, he spent Christmas in the hospital, and I had the fans basically make Christmas happen for his family because they had 5 kids. And so we created an Amazon wish list, and the fans would order gifts, and then they'd come here, and then people at church would help wrap them, and then we brought Christmas to the hospital. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, after midnight mass, and I dressed up as Buddy the Elf, and Floyd the drummer dressed up as Santa. We rolled through the ICU with like luggage carts full of gifts and bikes, and we hung stockings from bungee cords, and they had Christmas in the hospital room. And then the next year he was gone, but we did it again. And the next year we
Wow.
did it again, and then last year we did it again. And this past year we did something for Rich's mom, Devin's mom, and Devin's fiance we called it Christmas Roses. And
Mm.
so we had fans support a rose. You could support a rose for $3, and we wound up sending each of them 100 roses. So for Christmas, Rich's mom, Devin's mom, and Devin's fiance each got a huge bouquet of 100 red roses with a little note with all the fans who supported it, listed in the note. And so, we try to honor the people behind Rich and Devin too, and so
Mhm.
it's very important to me that their families know that everything I'm doing is in honor of them, and that I don't really want to do it, like I enjoy it, but I'd rather they were here, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and really just, yeah, yeah, because Devin lived with me for a while, and his death is so new, and we lived in the same town, and we worked out together. It kind of hits you in a different way. So like every night when I'm at the gym, I'm like remembering him being there.
Mhm.
Yeah, just it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the family must really, really appreciate all the things that you've been doing, and the fans as well. And it's very special for them, and I'm glad that you do that. And I'm really sorry for everything that you've gone through and lost. So we love you guys, and we want to make sure that we keep that legacy alive as well. So
Thank
thank you
you.
for
Thank you
everything
so
you do.
much. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, when you think about back to the music you guys made together, and obviously there's the singles that everyone knows, what are some of the tracks that you recorded that you wish had been singles, like a deep cut or album track that you really thought the world of?
Well, you know, the first album had Summer Girls and Girl on TV. The next single should have been West Side Story because that was just the L.F.O sound. It was a hit song. It was just the perfect follow up. But the label was still trying to market us as a boy band and thought we needed the big boy band ballad, but that just wasn't us.
It-
So they released "I Don't Want to Kiss You Goodnight" as the third single, and it just didn't connect the same way that our other songs did, and it kind of spelled the end of the first album cycle.
Mm,
But the second album, certainly Every Other Time, was a great choice for the first single. Looking back and seeing what songs people gravitate towards today, I think Elena would have been the great second single. And I'm finding more and more that that's really a favorite song of musicians and of kids, especially like younger kids. Like
mm.
my kids really like that song. So I think that was kind of a hidden gem on that record. Um, yeah.
I'd like to play some clips of those songs on the show too, so that people get a chance to hear them.
Oh, cool.
That'd be nice. How did you guys feel about the whole marketing of the boy band thing? So you're getting appearances in like the teen magazines like Bop, Tiger Beat, Teen Beat, all of that. Was that something that you guys love to do, or was it kind of like, I don't know about this?
We love doing all the press, but back then we didn't like the term boy band because back then it had a negative connotation.
Mhm,
These days I welcome it because it gives me the opportunity to be included with New Kids, Backstreet, and NSYNC in '98, Motown, and you know.
mhm,
Um, so I think it's great now. But back then, because it had a negative connotation, these days people know, wow, from the boy band spawned some really talented people, right? Justin Timberlake and Donnie Wahlberg is an actor, and Rich is a songwriter, and the
mhm,
guys from Backstreet Boys, everybody's Jeff Timmons and Nick Lachey, all these guys have done other things,
mhm.
and really talented guys. I mean, the Old Town guys, when I listen to that sound check, I'm just like, gosh, these dudes can really sing. I mean, it's like, holy cow.
Yeah,
So, so, so I don't think there's any question about the talent of the boy bands now. And so I think we all enjoy the term these days.
exactly. And it gives you a chance to be creative and have fun. A lot of people don't recognize the talent sometimes just because of the word boy band. So I understand that. What else do you enjoy doing besides music?
That's a good question. Something, that's something I kind of reflect on a lot these days. Like, if I had nothing to do, what would I do? You know, a
Hmm.
lot of times I'm just like, well, I like to take a nap. That would be something I'd like to do. That's one of my favorite things. Um, but aside from like spending time with my family and the kids and wifey, I love sports. So I can watch football all day,
Mhm.
and baseball is probably my favorite. And so when the baseball season hopefully starts back up again, I like to listen to those games on the radio, and I like to bowl, although I get frustrated when I bowl. Yeah. I just I like being outdoors. I like watching
Mm.
old TV shows. But these days, with doing church work and L.F.O work and labor work and having 5 kids with one on the way, and there's not a whole lot of time for like, oh, what am I going to do today? You know,
Mm.
that's the challenge, right? When you have a big family or you have a lot of responsibilities, is trying to stay ahead of it and being proactive. Because when you enter that reactive mode, it doesn't feel good. You know,
Mhm.
it feels like you're being almost being controlled by what's happening in your life, as opposed to being, okay, well, here's my plan for the day. It doesn't, now with 5 kids, it's not always going to go as planned, but at least you sort of have a grasp on what the plan is. So
Mhm.
um, yeah.
Tell me about the church work. I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, I do a lot of church work these days. It started with just music reluctantly,
Mhm.
um, and it's just grown to a lot of different responsibilities. And it's for me, I think faith's important for everybody. Um, I understand the journey. Some people um, it takes more time to sort of find their footing, and some people um, are sort of on their journey from day one, and some people don't believe at all. And I've been in I've been in all those circumstances, so I can relate to how people feel. For me, based on what I experienced in my life, I believe that God is real, and so I love hearing about people seeking God,
Mhm.
And as a Christian, I try to see Christ in everybody, and so that's been really helpful in ministry. Um, being able to work with people who are maybe considered, you know, not the most desirable people to have to work with. To help people who are homeless or poor or destitute. And I really do believe that, when I'm judged, you know, God's going to say, well, when I was hungry, did you give me food? When I was thirsty, did you give me drink? When I was naked, did you clothe me? Right? And I
Mhm.
don't want to be like, well, when did I see you naked? When were you hungry? I want to say, yes, I think I did. I feel like the faces of all these people that you've experienced in your life are just going to like snap before you. It's like, wow, that was you. That was you. That was you. That was you. And
Yeah.
so it's been a great blessing to have the opportunity to do church work. And like I said, I do music every Sunday, and I'm involved with a lot of different things with the church work, and I enjoy the experience of helping people that are really in a tough way, homeless or out of work, or you know,
Mhm.
single mom with 5 kids who's in an abusive relationship who is desperate for something. I enjoy being able to help people in hard times, or um, you know, funerals. It's unfortunate. It's like an unfortunate honor, I call it. Helping people in these kind of difficult times. But God's given me the opportunity to be involved with some really hard things that I think when I'm doing well in my mind, I'm able to really appreciate the grace and blessings I've received, because I know how hard it can be. I've been with people as they bury their children, and I've witnessed some really humbling things in the church work. And
Mhm.
then there's the simple things like people, coming up to you after mass, like in tears because the music was so beautiful. So
Oh.
I just, and I'm just so glad I said yes. And when you say yes to God in any capacity, great things can happen. And so I try to encourage anybody who's involved with the church, offer your time and talent in some degree.
Mm.
And it could just be as simple as folding paper, whatever it might be. When you offer your time and talent, it comes back to you 100-fold. So for me, the church work and my journey has been really important. But again, I'm not the person who's saying this is what you must do. Like, no,
No.
I hope people see God, and I hope to be somebody who can help encourage people to do that, because I've been on the opposite end of the spectrum. I stopped believing for a while. And so
Mm.
um, I, I I feel like by returning to God, he saved me. And I believe he's always standing there like this for all of us,
Yeah.
waiting, patiently waiting. And if this is his path, sometimes we go like this, around in circles. And eventually when we find the path and we straddle it, you know, life is better than it is without God. So um, but I really am cognizant of the fact that everybody's journey is different, and not everybody's ready to hear the way you speak to somebody who's had their faith for 20 years and the way you speak to somebody who's never even heard of Jesus Christ, two different ways, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be able to talk to them. And I just listen. I have friends that aren't Christians for sure. I'm just happy when anybody seeks God. I mean,
Mm.
I think it's when because when you become your highest power, that's when trouble ensues, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a little, probably a whole nother podcast, to be honest with you.
No, actually, I'm glad you said that. I think the most important thing you can do to show God's love is live it yourself. You know what I mean? It doesn't, a lot of people will put up a wall as soon as you come at them with the gospel, right? So if you're talking to them and just like they're your friend, you're being Christ-like, you're showing them how to live the example. I think that's the most enticing way you can witness to
You're
God for other
exactly
people.
right. You're exactly right. You can evangelize just by the way you treat somebody, and
Mhm.
that's also part of my goal with doing these shows is I get a chance to evangelize the secular world. No, it's not the same as like when we did the tour in 2017. I did a whole witness and I played a Christian song in the middle of the show. That's
Nice.
that. And I wore a T-shirt that I made that said "Let the dead bury the dead," and people said, "What does that mean?" I got a chance to explain to them, that came from Scripture, and so these days, I still get a chance to do a moment of silence, and I tell people, "God bless you, God loves you," but also backstage, the way you treat people, it, it's a way to evangelize just by being kind-hearted. And like
Mhm.
you kind of said about, there's a psalm that says, "And they'll know we are Christians by our love, and they'll know we are Christians by our love." And so, you're right. Just the way we act, is a way to show that we're faith-filled and a good person, and trying, like you said, try to be Christ-like.
And people see you and they'll say, I like how that person lives, or
Hmm.
why are they showing such joy? I want that same joy, then it's probably the best way to approach somebody.
Yeah, there's great stories of of people having their heart turned just by seeing love on a person's face. You know,
Yeah.
of whether it's a murderer or an abortion doctor or an atheistic communist politician. I've heard these stories of people's hearts just being changed because they look at someone's face and go, "I want that," you know.
Mm. And then when you mentioned when people have come to you in church and they were moved by the music, oh my goodness, I can have a good time at church listening to my pastor. He's amazing. And as soon as like there's worship music beginning end of service, tears. I'm just like, it's so emotional, right? Like you can't, music just does that.
Oh yeah, we always before we play, we always pray to obviously that we can play and sing to the best of our ability, and always being aware how music can affect people in a very special, deep, and personal way.
Mhm.
And and there's times where it affects me. I'm sitting there directing everybody. We got a big band, a big choir, and then there's times where I'm like, wow, this is just amazing.
Mm.
This weekend we're doing a new song I'm excited about, so I'm looking forward to that.
Are you writing songs for church?
Yeah, I have in the past. I haven't recently, but I definitely did in the past. Yeah.
Nice. Um, any collaborations you're thinking that you'd like to make in the future?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, like, um, I don't have anything planned at this moment.
Mm.
I've gotten pretty close with Mark from Sugar Ray. I thought it'd be fun to do a song with him one of these days.
Yeah.
And Jeff Timmons from '98. Um, one day I'd like to collaborate with Kanye West. I don't know if you've ever heard any of the Christian stuff he's done, but
Yeah. The
it's pretty
Jesus is King
extraordinary.
album.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of his back in the day. Devin was a big fan, but
Mm.
I wasn't. I was like, he was always causing drama at award shows and stuff like that, and I was like, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
But I like where he's at now. I like his Christian music, and I like the fact that he speaks his mind without being fearful.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no current plans for collabs, but I think it'd be fun to do something with Mark and maybe something with Jeff for sure.
Have you ever considered starting your own podcast?
I pitched the New York Mets on doing the Mets podcast at one point in time.
Uh-huh.
But it was kind of through a contact. So I don't even know if it got to the people who make the decisions,
Mhm.
Um, and then the guy who used to do the Daily Mets podcast, he came back doing a podcast again. So they don't need me anymore.
Aw.
But other than that, no, I haven't. Besides doing like a Mets podcast, I thought about a couple of like maybe Christian based podcasts. But you
Mm,
know what, the podcast arena is pretty full,
it's true.
and I don't know that there's something that I can bring to the table that would be so much better or different. I think there's already people doing really good podcasts. So I'm not sure that I could really add something um, that's not already there, if it makes sense.
I understand that. I think the only point in doing a podcast is if you feel rewarded by it at this point, because there's just so much out there to choose from. If it's something that gives you like gratification at the end of the day, or gives you a chance to speak to people that really want to hear what you're going to say, and then it's really rewarding in that manner. But you're
Oh, I
right,
bet.
there are thousands and thousands of them.
It's a lot of hard work. I mean, I was looking at your podcast on Spotify and all the different guests that you have to book. I mean,
Mm.
and then when guests don't show up for their interviews, like someone we know.
It's definitely, it's a passion, or I wouldn't be doing it. Like, just
Oh, it's
having
cool. You're
conversations like we're having, it's really nice to do.
Yeah, no, so I can tell you're very pro. You know what you're doing, and um, so yeah, and you do a good interview. It's not like you're prepared, and you're a professional. So I'm glad that it's you're doing something that you love and that you're good at.
Thanks. And what? I know you guys get to hear a lot of the same questions over and over. I don't like to ask those questions if possible. If it's something that I could just Google about you, why would I ask you that in an interview?
Well, yeah, although what you read isn't always true either. So,
Mm,
um,
good point.
but I learned a long time ago. I don't even care about. I don't try to like correct things on Wikipedia or I just don't care. I mean, like
Mm,
if people want to really know the story, then they can. There's enough interviews like this that I've done where they can read it or you listen to it and go, okay, that's what happened here or there. Otherwise, I don't mess with it. I don't really mess with the social media too much. I've got somebody that helps me with that.
mm.
And so, yeah, but it's cool, man. It's cool. I mean, it's, you know, like you said, when you're asking questions that aren't the usual stuff, it helps the conversation to flow, as
Mhm.
opposed to like, oh my gosh, I'm really going to go back here and answer this question, that question. That's like,
The same thing
you
over
know,
and over. Like,
yeah,
how'd you get the band name? Oh, geez. Things like that. But yeah, no, this podcasting thing gives you an opportunity to say your truth, which is nice. You know, that way it doesn't get twisted.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, how have you taken care of your voice over the years too? Do you have any special like things you have to drink, or how do
No,
you do that?
you know, I'm not like Devin or Jacob or JC or AJ. Like I'm not one of those guys who like blows you away with some crazy singing ability. Um, but what I have, so I don't have like some really weird routine that makes me sound great. Um, but when I'm preparing for a show, I try to sing a lot and rap a lot. And so I've got like a playlist that I use, like a Spotify playlist that I use uh, that I practice like when I'm driving in the car. My oldest daughter goes to school kind of far, so when I drop her off and then on the way home, I just sing, you know.
Mm,
Um, and then before the shows, I'll sing just to get like to sing at your best. To be your best, you got to make sure you get whatever's in here and behind your nose, everything out, so it's just clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a guy here in my town owns a pharmacy. He's about 75 years old. His name's Larry, and he has a gospel group that he sings with. And so he gave me a little routine to do with the stuff that like cleans out your nasal passages. An hour before the show, and then half an hour use some of this and spray it in your nose, and then 15 minutes before spray this.
Mm,
So when I have the chance, I use that routine, and then just simple warm-ups, getting your tongue warmed up and trying to clear out any junk in your throat. Um, but I don't have like a routine that's like set in stone. But the
yeah.
big thing is just getting warmed up, sing and rap, sing and rap, sing and rap, all day long. And then you really feel your strongest.
Keep it warm, ready to go.
Yeah. Mhm.
What are some upcoming goals that you have? Obviously, we have the shows next weekend, but what do you see in the future for 2022?
Um, Continue to play these shows with the Pop 2000 lineup.
Mm,
I also have a show that I put together called the L.F.O story, which I did a live stream version of it last year. And it basically tells the story from 1974 when Rich was born until today. And
mm,
I used music of the time, music that influenced us, our own music, and personal stories. Um, so we put that together, and I'd like the opportunity to play that as well. It's a little bit more difficult because to do it the way I really like to do it is really expensive because I got a full band
mm.
and AV and everything else. So I'm working on a sort of scaled down version of it that you could do like in a smaller place where maybe you have like 100 or 200 people sitting at tables, and the stage is
Oh,
small and you're
nice.
close, you're close with them. And it's really like it's like a story, it's like storytelling with music too.
Mm,
So I'm hoping to refine that a little bit and play some shows with that too. That may not happen until the end of the year or the beginning of next.
mm,
But my main thing with shows is going out there with the Old Town guys and Ryan Cabrera and Chris from NSYNC and Mark and Sugar
mm.
Ray and playing those shows.
It must be a fun time when you guys get together, hey?
Having Mark and Chris in the room was kind of like having Rich back. You know, Rich had a
Mm,
great personality. He was really funny, and Mark and Chris are the same way. Just really, really fun to be around, and just hilarious.
yeah. I don't know what the logistics are like for your tour, but it would be really nice to have some Canadian shows come up and visit us one day. Have you been up here before?
Yeah. What city are you in?
I'm in Edmonton, so west,
Okay.
just above Calgary.
Okay. Yeah, we played Toronto obviously, and then we did do a few dates. I think maybe up in your area. Are you sort of like above like Montana, that area?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We're just east of the Rockies and above
Yeah.
Montana.
Yeah. So we did a few shows over there. Hopefully when, the COVID settles and the border stuff is easier, hopefully
Mm,
we can make our way up to at least to Toronto, but I'd prefer
yeah.
to also be able to go, like you said, up in Calgary or Edmonton. That would be awesome.
And if you've been to
Um,
Vancouver, it's a
no,
beautiful city. I hope you
I've
get to
seen
go out there.
pictures. I've seen pictures.
Yeah, it's a place. Hopefully you get to visit one day. Very nice.
Thank you.
But I thank you again for spending this time with me. It was really, really nice to connect, and especially like talking about connections with Christ too. I think that's really important. So thank you for sharing that with me. And I'll make sure that I pray for you guys and pray for you on the road and pray for the families. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, maybe sometime in the future we can do a whole episode about reversions and conversions.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. That would be nice. We'll keep in touch.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for
Enjoy
your
the
time.
rest. You too. And enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. God bless. Peace.
You too. Bye.